Hi everyone, Velvet here, and I have some stories for you today. But before we get started, can you please do me a huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe? It'll really help the channel out, and it'll get you more videos like this every day. Let's get started. Our first one comes from Grades and Cookies. Am I the beehole for telling my mother-in-law to take her damn cookies and get out of my house? My twin daughters are both 18 and both took the SATs last month. The results came back yesterday. One of my daughters, Laura, did very well. She got a 1540 and is very proud, as she should be. Her sister, Emily, didn't do so well. She got somewhere in the low 1300s. And I know that it's still not a bad score at all, but she worked very hard for the test and was really disappointed with her score. She has always struggled more with schoolwork than her sister, who does better without having to try quite as hard. Not to minimize her effort, Laura does work hard as well, but it does come a bit easier for her. My mother-in-law has always favored Laura, mostly because she does better in school. She won't show it obviously, but in little ways. For example, she makes them a birthday cake most years, and always writes Laura's name bigger and first. Emily resents this a bit, but doesn't mind it too much. As they rarely see their grandma, only Laura regularly video calls her with my husband. My mother-in-law called yesterday to ask the girls how they did. Emily said she didn't want to talk to her. She told me, not my mother-in-law, so I only gave the phone to Laura. Laura said her score, and her grandma congratulated her excitedly. My mother-in-law then asked Laura how Emily did. Laura said Emily did all right. When I got the phone back, my mother-in-law asked if she could come visit tomorrow to congratulate Laura. I said, let me check quickly if anything else is happening tomorrow, and I asked Emily if her grandma could come over to celebrate the results. Emily said that was fine, so I told my mother-in-law she could come. My husband was at work when she came over. She brought a box of cookies and gave it to Laura, saying she was proud. Emily was standing there too and looked hurt. I asked if she had brought anything for Emily. She laughed a little and said, not this time, but she'll make even better cookies when Emily does her resit. No one told her she was resitting. My mother-in-law just assumed. Emily went upstairs and I think she was crying. So I told my mother-in-law very sharply that she can take her damn cookies and get out. She was shocked and angry. But she left. Laura is also upset because she says she earned it, and I'm ruining her relationship with her grandma. But my husband says I had no right. Am I the beehole? Hi, OP, you are not the beehole. I'm very proud that you stood up to her and didn't let her do that to your other daughter. But this has been going on for a while, right? That's what it sounds like. So I think you should have stepped in a long time ago, if it's been going on for a while. And yeah, your mother-in-law is being evil, playing favorites with one over another one like that. That's gonna mess them up mentally. And it sounds like Laura's mad because she's not getting her, favorite number one child status over her sister that she's been used to for a while, it seems like. I don't know what's going on with your husband, why he won't stick up for you and his daughters over his mom, which, that sucks. Personally, I would tell their grandmother slash your mother-in-law that she can't see those girls again until she learns how to treat them both equally, because it sounds like she's getting her jollies on hurting one and favoring the other one. And our next one comes from Child-Free Wedding Son. Am I the beehole for refusing to have a fully child-free wedding? So, recently, I proposed to my long-term girlfriend, and we are planning for a wedding in summer next year. Everything is still very early stages. My fiance has expressed that she wants a child-free wedding, which I am all down for, but I want to make one exception, my son, a 15-year-old male. I had him from a previous relationship, and we've evenly split custody of him. Until now, my fiance has gotten along with him great. We've had days out as a family, she's gone to see his games, he plays ice hockey, and she's even taken him out on fun days, just the two of them. I brought up that I wanted to make an exception to the no kids rule for my son. She shot the idea down straight away. and said that she doesn't want anyone under the age of 16 there, as she doesn't want to feel like she or anyone else has to babysit on her special day. I told her that no one would have to babysit him. He's 15, and she knows he's well behaved, and generally a quiet kid. Then she changed her reasoning and asked why I wanted my old family and life on the day I was supposed to be making a commitment to her and our new family. I told her, while I will be making a commitment to her, my son still and will very much be my son and my family. She then equated it to wanting my ex at our wedding, which I do not and never asked. I told her that I didn't care about the aesthetics of the wedding and that she can pick everything else, the food, the aesthetics, the music, the dress, but all I wanted is my family at the wedding, my parents, my sisters, and my son. That this is my only ultimatum when it comes to our wedding. She started calling me controlling by giving me the ultimatum and said that I had initially agreed to a child-free wedding. And now I'm gaslighting her? I said we can have a mainly free child wedding, but with this one exception. An exception that guests can't even complain about, being unfair since the only child is the son of the groom. She called me a prick and is now not talking to me. I really think this is a reasonable want, but maybe I'm not seeing something. So, am I the beehole? Hi, OP, you are not the beehole, and she doesn't want your own child at your and hers wedding. Also, when someone starts screeching about gaslighting, that's a pretty big red flag for me. Because she's the one gaslighting you, saying nonsense like, you want your ex there, and your old family. This is the new family. That is creepy and a big red flag for me. And like you said, a 15-year-old is old enough to know how to be well behaved in that type of situation. OP, you don't think your son's not going to remember being excluded from your wedding? You don't think he's going to think about that and harbor some resentment towards his new stepmom, who sounds like she's going to be an evil stepmother? I'm going to be 100% with you, OP. I would say run while you're not married to this woman. Run, because it sounds like she's going to give your son a hard time when she's married with you. It sounds like she's just being nice to him until she gets the ring on her finger, and then she's going to snap and end up, fighting with you over him. And our next one comes from Fearless Try 12. Am I the beehole for trying to stop someone from getting a house? My mum has had the same neighbors for 50 years. Her next door neighbor was in a government assisted home. The lady has now moved to a long-term assisted living facility, so her house is vacant. One of our other neighbors has a daughter married with a few kids. They now want the vacant home. As she would be directly opposite her mother and the house has a garden for the children. They asked if we would sign a petition to convince the government to house them there. This is where the problem is. Our neighbors are wonderful people, so is their daughter and grandchildren. But the son-in-law is a thug. He's always tried to intimidate my extended family over a public parking space, which he has claimed as his own, screaming obscenities at us, revving his car like he'll mow us down, and using his sheer size to stand over us and to intimidate us. My elderly mother is terrified of him, but because of how wonderful my neighbors are, she feels like she cannot refuse to sign this petition. She said she feels incredibly anxious about potentially living next door to this man. As it stands, she will not leave the house or car if he's there, as she's afraid of him. At the moment, he's just there occasionally, but if he's living next door, she feels like she will be trapped. Yes, I wanted to report him to the police and to the housing agency, but my mom doesn't want to make him angrier, so she won't allow me. Would I be the beehole if I reported him to the housing agency anyway? I do not want my elderly mother to feel afraid of entering and leaving her own home, for maybe the amount of time she has left on this planet. Hi, OP. You are not the beehole. Go immediately and tell the housing agency and the police. This guy is going to escalate things and someone's going to get hurt. You see it all the time in ID, the channel that shows all the murders and all that. Usually that happens with bad neighbors. Plus, where I live, I've had something like this happen. Not to me, but on the street I live. People on the street are usually pretty cool. I don't talk to everybody, but you know what I mean. I've never had any problems. Until one of the people's on the street's family member got out of jail. So, for the first time in ever, someone's house got broken into. Guess who did it? You guessed right. Yeah, the guy who got out of jail. So, protect your mom and do everyone a favor in this neighborhood and do not let this guy move in. Go and report him now. And our final one comes from Boring Strike 4393. Am I the beehole for telling my parents the only way I'll let them meet my son is if they give me their dog to put down? I do not in any way want to harm my parents' dog. When I left for university, I had to leave my dog behind with my parents. I was the last kid out of the house, and they liked their empty nest. To make sure it was super empty, they put my dog down. She was a 6-year-old Beagle Basset Hound cross, in perfect health. I had rescued her. I got a job to pay for her food and vet before I left, had it quadruple checked with my parents that they were okay with taking care of her while I was at school. They were not. They told me she got out of the yard and was hit by a car. I found out the truth from my brother and cut them out of my life. They killed my best friend. My friend from high school had offered to take her, but I didn't want to have her get attached and then have to fight her to get my dog back. I honestly thought I could trust my parents. It's been 8 years since. I talked to them. They were not invited to my wedding, and I did not attend any family gatherings where they were. I have a 3-month-old son now with my husband. My brother and his family were over to meet him, and he asked if I was ever going to forgive our parents. I said no. My mom contacted me and asked what it would take for me to forgive them, and let them meet their grandson. They have a French bulldog puppy. I said if they give me their dog, so I can have it put down, then I would forgive them. She said I was being ridiculous. And that was not going to happen. I told her she cares more about a dog than her family, which is what she always accuses me of. My brother says I'm being a beehole, that they made a stupid mistake, but that it should be forgiven. I'm never going to get over it. Woo, okay, OP. So, I found this one last night before I was going to bed, and I made sure to save it because this one got me heated. Okay, so right off the bat, your parents are ghouls. Anyone who hurts animals like that and has just non-flippantly about it, yeah, ghouls. What makes it worse is that you double, triple check with them that they're okay with keeping your dog. And you even had a backup for the dog if they didn't want to keep the dog. They just did this to be evil. And where does your brother get off saying they made a stupid mistake? That wasn't a mistake. They knew what they were doing was wrong because they made up a lie to tell you that the dog got out and got hit by a car. They knew what they were doing was wrong. It's been so long and they still haven't even shown any signs of regret. OP, screw 'em. Keep doing what you're doing and keep those ghouls away from your family. And tell your brother to watch it. I'd have him on thin ice if I were you. And before we get to the end of this video, I'm sorry for all the noise, the dogs. I'm pretty sure you heard the door slamming. I don't have a lot of time to get these recordings in, so I didn't have time to stop and wait for the dog to stop barking. Hopefully the next day everything will be better. If you hear any of that. If you don't hear any of that, disregard this message right here. Thank you so much for staying with me to the end of this video. Can you please do what I said in the beginning and like, comment, and subscribe? It will really help the channel out, and it'll get you more videos like this every day. Velvet out.